질문은 영어로.
네, 저 랜딩블록 커뮤니티 운영하고 있는 김준용이라고 하고요. 저희 같은 경우에는 이제 한국 블록체인 생태계, 글로벌 블록체인 생태계를 좀 더 건전하게 만들고 싶어서 리서치랑 아티클이랑 간단하게 소개라든지 커뮤니티 분석 이런 것들을 하고 있습니다. 감사합니다.
네, 안녕하세요. 저는 해치랩스라고 하는 블록체인 기술 솔루션이랑 스마트 컨트랙트 보안 감사 진행하는 곳에서 사업개발 디렉터 맡고 있는 오세진이고요. 동시에 디사이퍼라고 하는 서울대학교 블록체인 학교 회장을 맡고 있습니다.
안녕하세요. 저는 게임엑스 코인의 엄지용이라고 합니다. 저희 회사 같은 경우는 이오스 베이스로 해서 자체 메인을 만드는 회사고 게임이랑 연결하는 그런 프로젝트를 진행하고 있어요. 그래서 저는 단순히 회사뿐만 아니라 오픈소스에 관심이 많아 알고랜드 프로젝트 예전부터 처음 나와서 관심이 있었는데 아마 중문으로 검색해보면 알고랜드 관련 글이 별로 없을 텐데 미디어 매직을 보시면 도움이 되실 것 같습니다. 지금 디사이퍼 멤버로 활동하고 있습니다.
According to Algorand paper scaling Byzantine agreements for cryptocurrency on page 4, it assumed that 95% are honest participants. So I assume that if a network is running with 10% of honest node without any punishment, the network might be controlled by the most malicious node when the rest is offline. So what would be our punishment mechanism to prevent this kind of possibility?
Okay, thanks. Thank you for reading our paper so carefully. Yes, this is about honesty ratio and online-offline users. As I said, we do not punish users for misbehaving. So the paper said 95% actually in the system. We are using 80%. So we assume at most 20% of the stake in the system can be malicious. That's already a pretty large fraction. In the worst case, the agreement itself can tolerate 1/3 of the tokens to be malicious. Now, in terms of user being online and offline, that is related to our bootstrapping strategy. We plan to make Algorand a decentralized platform via a period of time, so that during this period, we grow the value of the network while making the token base to be more distributed. The good thing is that at the beginning, the tokens probably will be more concentrated for the security of the network. And gradually, the network's value will grow, assets will be built, and the token base will grow, so that it becomes harder and harder to control a large fraction of tokens in the system. So this is a balance between bootstrapping and decentralization. That we expect that toward the end of the bootstrapping period, the tokens are decentralized enough. And in this, even though it is decentralized, it will be very hard for a user, for anybody, to actually buy a large fraction of tokens because the value would be too high in the system. So by keeping this balance, we make sure that we keep the system secure while making it more and more decentralized. And indeed, a user is not required to be online. If he doesn't want to be online, he can choose to be offline. And in later versions, we will have autonomous schemes to say that how to put a user offline if he hasn't acted in the system for a long time. And as I said, right now, we reward all users in the system, so it doesn't matter whether you are online or offline. And in the future, towards more decentralization, we will add more incentive schemes so that there may be a difference. And that would encourage people to participate. So that's our strategy.
Thank you for your presentation. In slide, I found that Algorand is good for curing code because I get I read from the developer Algorand the project uses Apple curve instead of how to use using Bitcoin and Ether. What is the main reason of using Apple curve instead of code? Because you already mentioned atomic code is very important in blockchain, but if you use different crypto algorithms, verifying other blockchains, network hash will be a little harder than use the same algorithm. What is your thought?
Right, yes, that's a very technical question. I can tell you're a hardcore developer and cryptographer. So let me repeat the question. So the question is about Algorand use a specific digital signature scheme, while Bitcoin use another digital signature scheme. And these two schemes are not really compatible with each other. And how did we make this design choice? And what is the plan for compatibility and interoperability for the future? Right. So that's a very interesting technical question. First, let me say that when you mentioned SECP, that is a elliptic curve parameter standard. The corresponding signature scheme is ECDSA, right? Elliptic curve digital signature algorithm. And what we use in Algorand is EDDSA, Edward curve digital signature algorithm. And the corresponding curve is curve 25519, I believe. And now, there are some, first of all, those two are both based on elliptic curve. Second of all, the EDDSA, which we use, is based on SHA-512, while the ECDSA used by Bitcoin is based on SHA-256. And in terms of security, they are not really comparable, the two signature schemes. One would be better and one would be better in different scenarios. But in terms of implementation, the EDDSA is a modern design and it avoids implementation errors better than the other one. Because in the crypto domain, we see that a lot of security problems happen does not because the underlying crypto is broken, but because the implementation has errors and loopholes in it. ECDSA has been there for a long time. When it was designed, it didn't really consider this type of implementation problems. So when people implement this signature scheme, you got to be super careful, and it is very hard to prevent implementation errors in the system. But for EDDSA, it is a more modern design. It already considers this type of schemes. Therefore, it is better. It is more friendly to the implementation front. So that's part of the reason why we did the choice. I hope that answers your question. And also, another question, a following up question is about interoperability. Because different blockchain systems use different signature schemes, and when we talk about crossing chain operations, the compatibility becomes an important requirement, right? For example, when we will support atomic swaps crossing chains, and when we do this, we plan to build a basket of signature schemes that are supported by our primitives, by our system, so that our system can parse other blockchain signature schemes. And that will facilitate, say, atomic swap between Algorand chain and Bitcoin. So we do plan to, I do believe that compatibility is an important feature in the system in the future. Okay.
paper, and found that the income incentive mechanism was not visible in the paper. Yeah. Since the node have to pay for high performance and performance bandwidth and server maintenance, it seems like a charity to run node without any incentive. What is the Algorand view about this mechanism?
Okay, about the incentive, yes. As I said, in the early stages, we focus on the design of the consensus protocol. The consensus protocol is based on honesty and a Malise model. So the consensus protocol doesn't talk about incentives. But I think maybe that gives people the misunderstanding that the Algorand, the system, doesn't have incentive either. But let me clarify that as an ecosystem, we do have incentive mechanisms, as I briefly mentioned in the talk. And early stage, we reward everybody being part of the network, and via iterations, we will add more incentive structures in the system. And your question is about how the incentive will interact with the cost of the system, basically. Okay, so let me say something about the incentive and cost. In Bitcoin, we see that incentive is crucial because in proof of work, mining is so costly in terms of hardware and electricity. Therefore, if there is no incentive, the network will cease of existence because nobody will be there to support it. However, we also see that Bitcoin's incentive mechanism is kind of misaligned with decentralization. That the current emergence of mining pools was not the designer's original intention. It is unfortunate that the people react to incentives and things so happen that they start forming mining pools. That tells us about the importance of properly designed incentive scheme. And now let me decouple the costs in the system and look at what people need to consume in a blockchain system. I see three major components. One is computation, one is network, one is storage. Now, in terms of computation, Bitcoin is extreme. That you got to reward the computation high enough so that the people want to be part of the network. Now, in Algorand, the computation part is very light. You just, as I said, any typical laptop will be able to participate in that. So we are less concerned about computation costs. Now, in terms of network, that is a cost that every public blockchain system needs to pay because we want to propagate transaction to the whole network, and everybody needs to know what the next block is. That part, there's no way to save it. And what happened in Bitcoin? Bitcoin doesn't have network incentive. People volunteer to be relay network, to be relay nodes in the system. That is because, again, computation is so highly loaded, nobody even pay attention to relays. Everybody focus on computation. Now in Algorand, computation is so light, so we have the incentive structure for rewarding relay networks, and that will be released in future versions. And we believe our incentive mechanism will facilitate a formation of a relay market so that people can, we let the market decide what would be the price and what would be the reward. So I believe this is a system that will facilitate enough relay activity and without causing centralization of the relay network. So that's in the future versions. Now about storage, I think one example is Ethereum. Because the existence of smart contract, Ethereum state space has exploded to very huge, and it's very hard for a typical small node to store all the data in the system. Ethereum's incentive is kind of the following, that you pay to create a storage space, and then the system pay you to release the data, to release the space. Now that unintentionally create a lot of arbitrage opportunities, Because what we see on Ethereum is that a lot of people would buy space when the token is low, the price is low. And then they will release it when the price is high. So this is not just facilitating the system, but this is really arbitrage, right? And in our system, two things I want to say. One is we have our own technology to compress state space so that storage costs will not be significant in the system. And also, in the future, we will introduce pricing schemes that are different from what you see today to incentivize people to use their space and to not occupy space if they do not need it. So I think those are important, and that will come in future versions of our system. So those are the things I want to say about the issues.
Does it work? Thank you for your presentation, and I actually am very interested in blockchain core protocol, including the Algorand as well, but all those questions were quite already listed by these two. So I wanted to ask about more on the infrastructure side of the Algorand, because what I perceive is that Ethereum blockchain platform has been chosen by lots of blockchain, like decentralized application projects. So lots of the apps are already onboarded on Ethereum. But what I perceive is that the most appealing part of Ethereum is that they already have that development infrastructure. Like there are lots of open source blockchain development tools or like smart contract deployments or testing tools that are like open source, and like there are lots of like middleware solutions exist. But how do you perceive that, like what is the most appealing part of the Algorand at this stage, even though there is less infrastructure constructed when compared to Ethereum?
Okay, good question. So this is about smart contract development and building the apps on our blockchain. So I must say that indeed Ethereum is revolutionary in terms of being a smart contract platform, and has been very successful in attracting developer communities. Because being the first, being there for many years is a big advantage for Ethereum, and that is definitely a pioneer. However, recent years, development on Ethereum, as I mentioned earlier on, we have seen that the cost of building DApps on Ethereum has become higher and higher. Like it gets slower to validate smart contracts and gets more expensive to do so. And also because Ethereum smart contract is a full function virtual machine, we also see all kinds of attack vectors like recursion attack, reentrance, stack overflow attack. All those attacks has caused a lot of loss to smart contracts, to developers, and to users. So in terms of Algorand,